2 years ago, the only coffee options here in town were here at Latte Da, here at Cafe Brulee, and on campus here at U Brew. Now there are double the amount of options, with the opening of the Bean, Brew 2, and now Starbucks. While Humane Society officials say adopting a pet during college is not recommended, volunteering can be another way to help these animals. The Women's March in Sioux Falls is one of more than 600 happening around the country the day after the inauguration. The main one is in Washington, D.C. If you would have came to downtown Vermilion 3 years ago, only 75% of these buildings would have been occupied. Now Welch says that 99% of them have businesses. A sea of pink and signs with creative messages filled the streets of downtown Sioux Falls on the first full day of President Donald Trump in the White House. USD senior Logan Anderson was one of more than 3,300 marchers in South Dakota's largest city.
It's really great to see this turnout.
Organizers had only expected around 1,000 people.
1,000 people marching in Sioux Falls, South Dakota for, love is awesome.
The Women's March in Sioux Falls is one of more than 600 happening around the country the day after the inauguration. The main one is in Washington, D.C. The Women's March on Washington was organized to protect the rights, safety, health, and families of women. But people were also there supporting many marginalized groups. Anderson says he's marching for students for reproductive rights, but there are other reasons as well.
I think there's a lot of people here for personal reasons. Also, I'm here to support trans rights, and so it's exciting. It's an exciting time.
It's estimated that more than 1 million people marched across the world. While the organizers said the march was nonpartisan, there were clear signs against the 45th president. He tweeted his sarcastic response the next day saying, quote, "Watched protests yesterday, but was under the impression we just had an election. Why didn't these people vote?" However, 95 minutes later, he tweeted with a different tone saying, quote, "Peaceful protests are a hallmark of our democracy." Anderson used his right to peaceably assemble to spread love.
It's been a very tough election year, and I think both parties are very divided. But we're just trying to spread the love, trying to make sure that people are supported.
For the Yote Report, I'm Nathan Finster. The high population of felines has become affectionately known as verm cats. These homeless animals are an example of why area Humane Society officials want students to think before they adopt. The Sioux Falls Area Humane Society has on average 350 to 450 animals every day ready for adoption. But before college students rush to their local shelters, officials say they need to think.
Depending on the age of the animal, you could be making a 10 to 20-year commitment. Cats can certainly live to be 18, 19, 20 years old. If you get that as a kitten, you're 20 now, you're going to be 40 by the time that animal passes away.
It's not just the time commitment. Adoption counselor CJ Bird says that pets cost a lot of money.
Financially, animals are not cheap. They leave here and you pay the adoption fees, which aren't bad, but then you have the rest of their life to think about for medical bills and food and just toys and treats on top of that.
Bird says that the unpredictability of college and future plans could cause you to have a pet that you can't take care of. And bringing back an animal can prevent you from getting one in the future. In Sioux Falls, they put it on your record. What would be your advice for a college student wanting to get a pet?
Without trying to sound harsh, it's wait.
While Humane Society officials say adopting a pet during college is not recommended, volunteering can be another way to help these animals.
We always need more help.
Students can volunteer to help in the shelter or even foster an animal.
That's a great way to help out. We always need fosters, and you're taking on a temporary commitment rather than the long term.
And by thinking about the long term, you're not only saving yourself a potential headache, but also ensuring animals get to a forever home. The Sioux Falls Area Humane Society has an application to volunteer on their website. Bird says they also need donations of Purina, kitten, and cat chow. 2 years ago, the only coffee options here in town were here at Latte Da, here at Cafe Brulee, and on campus here at UBrew, now there are double the amount of options. With the opening of the Bean, Brew 2, and now Starbucks. After several years of trying to get a licensed Starbucks store, Vermilion's Hy-Vee found out last year they were approved.
We're actually, as far as Hy-Vee goes, probably the smallest Hy-Vees that have ever been accepted for our Starbucks. And it's excited. Starbucks doesn't go into a lot of towns that are a population of 10,000 either.
Starbucks has nearly 14,000 stores in the United States. Vermilion is one of the latest locations, which is brewing up 12 jobs into the community.
When I moved here 4 years ago, a lot of people asked if we could ever get a Starbucks in Vermilion.
The new location is located in the front of the store where the old dining area was. It includes everything from classic drinks to food and pastries. While Starbucks is expanding, so is Vermilion's coffee scene. The Bean opened up its doors in late 2016. Co-owner Martin Prendergast says he welcomes the coffee chain to town, but was surprised with the announcement.
When I first heard that Starbucks was going into Vermilion, I was a little shocked. I was a little shocked. We were just newly open, and I wasn't sure how it would affect our business.
Both Sewing and Prendergast agree that each location will bring different types of customers.
The Starbucks followers are different than the ones that are going to the other coffee shops here in town.
Our customers are pretty loyal. There's a lot of family-ish type stuff that goes on here, so we see the same people on a regular basis. Hopefully people will go to both.
Prendergast says the advantage at his business is the impact on the community from their charitable efforts like Fund It Friday to featuring local artists in the store. He says that many people still want that local feel.
I feel like the Bean, it's called Community Coffee House, and I believe it's a place for community to get together and meet.
From campus to shopping to exploring downtown, there's now easy access to a cup of coffee across town. For Coyote News, I'm Nathan Finster. A pair of red and white blood donation buses parked outside the Sanford Care Center in Vermilion last Monday for the annual Heroes Behind the Badge blood drive. Law enforcement, EMS personnel, firefighters, and community members alike lined up to participate.
I'm an EMT as well, and so I don't like needles.
Robin Hauer may be an EMT, but his primary job is a detective for the Vermilion Police Department. He's up against his fellow first responders with fire and EMS.
We were approached by the community blood bank, at which time they asked us if we wanted to do the Heroes Behind the Badge blood drive, which is a friendly competition between law enforcement and fire and EMS. And of course, we agreed.
That was 11 years ago. The Vermilion Fire EMS Department and the Police Department come together once a year to create this friendly competition as a way to give back to the community and to save lives.
Okay. Go ahead and fill out a ballot over here then, Sonia.
They collected 94 units of blood, just shy of their 100-unit goal.
You know, in reality, it doesn't matter who wins because it's really the community that wins. The 94 units of blood that we collected, that saved 282 lives.
So, who won?
Fire and EMS won this year. It was very close competition.
Next year, they hope to hit their goal of 100 units. However, Hauer has a goal of his own.
Watch out, fire department, we're coming to get you.
For the Yote Report, I'm Nathan Finster.